Greetings, and welcome to the first episode of Save Point with Sascha Frost, my new podcast that I'm trying to start up. As I said in my intro episode that I put out last night, I'm just working with a single camera right now, just to keep things simple and just to kind of get the ball rolling. I don't have a guest that I'm featuring on today, but figured I would just do a little video by myself and just try to get some, community feedback on a few things. So, what I wanted to talk about today was something I mentioned in that intro video I recorded last night. Was talking about how to create a music scene, basically, and I wanted to talk about a little bit about the state of the current music scene as well. So, as many of you know, I live in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and for the past 5 years or so, I've been trying to be as involved as possible in the music scene in my own way. My friends and I started the Mass in the Grass Music and Arts Festival back in 2019, which, when it first started, was a very small event. Maybe only had 150 people come throughout the whole weekend, but it was a really cool experience for us, and honestly, we were pretty amazed that we even managed to pull it off, because it was a pretty tumultuous time for all of us. Me and my friends at the time, and we were just happy to have pulled the event off and had a pretty good time. So that's when we started, and as we kept going, obviously we skipped 2020 because of the pandemic and all that, but we did the festival in 2021, 22, 23, and last year 2024. And each year we tried to, build it up a little bit, get more bands or different acts, new, experiences within the event itself. So that was kind of our way of trying to help the music scene here, trying to inspire people to follow their dreams, to be musicians and create original music. As we realized over time, you can only really make so much of an impact with an event that only takes place once a year for just a short weekend. So, so I'm hoping that by doing this podcast, we will be able to inspire more discussions and get some community feedback. I would like to hear from people just what your opinions are on the best way to go about forming a music scene, why a solidified music scene has not come about yet here, and just a few other topics that I want to cover today. So as I said, these videos are unscripted. I don't have an outline. I didn't plan any of this out. I just turned the camera on and started. So forgive me if I say and a lot. I'm just trying to, collect my thoughts here. So, all right. So let's talk about the current music scene. We have a few places in town where you can actually perform live music. First one that comes to mind is one that's been around for a while, McGarvey's Bar. They are one of the few places in town that actually has an already built sound stage and that regularly has shows. I've seen a lot of good shows there, ranging from, my friends' bands who barely ever perform live to, semi well-known acts that have already some acclaim and followers. And one thing I like about McGarvey specifically is that they have all kinds of music playing there. There's a lot of punk bands and metal bands and rock bands. Recently there was a rap and hip hop show that was hosted by I believe Harold Camper and his crew of people. No Label Christian Westerners also put on a hip hop show there fairly recently. So there's a lot of variety there. I know Rich also does plays at the venue as well, which I have never. I haven't gotten the chance to go out and see one yet, but I would like to at some point. I'm not really much of a theater guy, but always open to new experiences and seeing what things are all about. So anyway, yeah, McGarvey's Bar. There's the other bar, 4Ds. They have different bands performing there. Pretty good variety as well, I would say. Got Arts Altoona, the local community arts center. Obviously, they're doing a pretty good range of things between the comedy shows and the acoustic shows and just different artists that they've booked. I did a show there. I don't know if you remember the Scorpio Rising art exhibition that we did there quite a while back. But I thought that went pretty well, and yeah, I would like to eventually maybe do another event there sometime in the future. So we have the Railroad City Cultural Center that just opened up recently. I don't know if they have any shows like currently in the works or booked, but I know they have some pretty cool plans for the future of that event center in the Gables building downtown Altoona. I'm hopeful that place can take off and do well, and hopefully kind of shake things up a bit, get some new acts in this area. Also, being in downtown, there's a lot of other things going on there now, like the Center City Market opening up soon with all those restaurants and little businesses in there. Got Levity Brewing Company. They also do a lot of events. They have pretty much something going on just about every day, including a couple events that I do there, music bingo and stuff. Yeah, so we got those five. What else do we have? Yeah, there's not a whole lot here. Obviously, there's other places you could perform. I mean, there's the Jaffa Shrine Center, but I haven't seen a lot of really like local independent acts perform there. It's mostly, from what I've seen, a lot of tribute bands and just kind of outfits from outside of this area that come in and use that space because they have the capacity to do so. What else? I suppose you could include Altoona Curve Stadium. They've had some shows there, including local artists. My friend Todd put on that Activate Altoona Festival and some other events there. So, other than that, I mean, aside from maybe some smaller bars that do host music events, I really can't think of a whole lot of other places that are really consistent with music. If I missed anybody, feel free to let me know. I'm always happy to, expand my knowledge on this area and what's available as far as the opportunities for artists to perform. Especially if they, if that includes the opportunity to perform original music, because, that is something that's really you can only do in a select number of places, because a lot of establishments don't want to book original acts unless they have already a big following, because obviously they're taking a chance on the whatever band or artist's music, hoping that it will be good. But yeah, with obviously with original music, it's kind of hit or miss. And I think, especially these days, there's sort of a lack of enthusiasm for original music. At least in this area, it's been a while since I lived in a big city. I used to live in Boston and Philadelphia and some other bigger cities, but I've been in Altoona for at least 11 or so years, going on 12 now. So this is my experience that I've had lately, is that people are not really that excited about original music. Most of the people that support original music are other musicians who are doing the same, writing original music, and you try to support other artists, hoping that they'll share that support and support your music as well. So yeah, not a lot of enthusiasm for really any sort of culture or the arts in general, including including musicians making original music. I wonder why is that? Why do you think that is? Is it just that people have become very individualistic these days, and everything's just kind of become so convenient? We can listen to whatever song we want at any given moment, and paying $5 at a bar is not worth the risk to potentially see a band that you don't like. Is it the economy of this area? Is it the fact that people are just trying to work and work and work for a lot of the times kind of crappy wages, and they just don't have the time and energy to invest in caring about somebody else's artwork or whatever that may be? Or is it that this area has not invested in the music community, and in just promoting culture and the arts? Do we lack culture as an area? Are we closed-minded? There's all these reasons that could be factors, and I guess honestly it's probably a combination of a lot of those things, and even more that I couldn't think of off the top of my head. But yeah, what do you think? Why is there a lack of energy and enthusiasm, specifically around original music? I guess another big factor is trends, and a lot of the times people don't want to take a chance on even publicly liking something because nobody else has liked it, and they don't want to be the first to show support, or they don't want to like something and then have other people be like, oh no, this sucks, and you're stupid for liking it. Do people care too much about what other people think about them and their musical tastes? Who knows? It could be any number of those factors, and probably a combination of all of them. So yeah, that's one question I've been asking myself. Another question I ask myself, which feel free to chime in your thoughts, is why hasn't an actual music scene solidified here? Is there not enough continuity? Is there not enough money to be made in doing live events? I would say that's probably a big factor, because I know for myself and for other event venue owners that I've talked to, it seems like it only has gotten harder and harder, which that could be largely in part due to the current economy. It's hard to survive these days. A lot of people are working multiple jobs and just barely scraping by. You got, if you're a couple, you're working and your partner's working, and it's just like you barely have time to to even enjoy life. You're just kind of grinding away all the time, and Anytime you do have off, you kind of feel exhausted, and obviously you have to take care of your own stuff, your laundry, and clean your house, take care of your kids if you have them. Um, Maybe there's just not a lot of time because of the current economic situation. That could be a factor. I also, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough question. Why hasn't a music community formed? Um, I think also it has to do with people's sort of individualistic mindsets and a lack of really a, a community action or a common goal. Um, that's the thing. I always say that it's very important to have goals, especially when you're trying to do something as a community or trying to build something for the community. You can do this thing and that thing, but if you don't have an actual plan, you're kind of just flailing in the wind because it's like trying to write a paper with no outline or trying to give a speech with no outline. You're just kind of off the cuff, and who knows what will happen. Who knows if you'll communicate your objective or your goals or your purpose, or if you'll just say a bunch of random things that are semi-related that don't actually connect into something that people can identify with and believe in. I think that is a big factor as well. I also think, just from my own experience and what I've heard from other people who've tried to put events on in this area, well, I guess, that kind of reminds me. Let me take a drink real quick here. Just drinking my black tea, as I usually start the morning off with. um, but yeah, it made me think of an interesting thing is when after we had our first Mass in the Grass festival in 2019, and then we were starting it back up in 2021, still kind of in the midst of the pandemic at that point. People who have had tried to do similar events and music festivals and stuff like that before, well before I or my friends tried to have our event, people warned me that it was not a good idea. They told me that, people in this area aren't open-minded to that kind of thing. People will try to tear you down and destroy what you're doing because they're jealous or they just don't like you or whatever. And at the time I was kind of like, yeah, I appreciate the advice, but I can handle myself. I'll manage, and I got a lot of good people on my team, and yeah, I'm just trying to do a good thing for the community. So I don't know why anybody would try to tear it all down. Uh, you know, as I learned going through this, that warning was not without a little bit of merit, at least. I'm not gonna, dig up old ghosts at this point, but yeah, we did experience some of that. We experienced, kind of a social media mob, just making up a lot of different stories about what was going on at the time, and yeah, that was a really, really bad time for us. After that year, we spent more money than on any other year to try to have a great event because we believed in it. We thought if we put the money in, the investment would be worthwhile. But yeah, when there's all this money and hopes and whatever tied into one event, things can get messy, and obviously certain mistakes can be made, and we did our best to try to do everything in a fair way that and do our due diligence in every aspect. But when you have a ragtag bunch of individuals who are just kind of starting off doing this, you don't know everything all at the beginning stages. So So yeah, anyway, not to get too off topic, but I think that might be an issue as well. Is people are afraid to do bigger things like that because maybe they don't want to open themselves and their lives up to criticism and you know potentially large financial losses and social media mobs and whatever else may follow. It's been it's been a really scary time having these events. A lot of stress when you think about having to be responsible for hundreds of people all at once. There's a lot of risk in doing that, and who knows what could happen. Somebody could get hurt, or you know worse even. There's been music festivals, obviously, a lot bigger than ours usually, but people die at music festivals, and it's pretty scary. You know, Obviously, people can die anywhere, but music festivals, sometimes people go a little overboard, and there's just a lot of room for error there, and that's why, after 2021, we tried to make sure that we always had um, a medical staff, actual trained people who have either worked at festivals or have medical experience. We had medical supplies there to the best of our ability to, stock all that stuff, because it doesn't just pop out of the ground for free. You got to buy all that stuff or get it donated. We had, a defibrillator, AED unit, just in case, God forbid, somebody's heart stops or they have a cardiac issue. Um, and, we filled out the service requests with AMED and stuff like that, so that ambulance services would be aware of the event. And yeah, basically did everything we could. So, again, not to get too off topic, but there's a lot of challenges in having an event like that, and even in having smaller events. I think a lot of people don't want to take on the risk, and it's kind of understandable. We all have our own lives to live, and yeah, it's hard to just spend your own money trying to help a community when you don't even have a lot yourself. And that was kind of the position I was in, but I did it because I believed in it, and I didn't do it for clout or for becoming recognized. I just wanted to do something that was bigger than myself, keep myself busy and keep my mind occupied, and feel like I was working on building something. So yeah, enough about me and my goals. So where were we? We were talking about the music scene as a whole, why a cohesive scene hasn't formulated. Another big factor to that, I think, is we don't do enough for young people. Obviously there's some local bars where you can perform and stuff, but that's not really giving opportunities or experiences to younger people who really are the future and should be the most invested in. I think this area has a tendency to invest mostly in services and events and stuff that kind of are geared toward an older crowd, older audience. Not that there's not some family-friendly stuff going on, but there's a distinct lack of that, and I know, my friends who have children, for my friends who have children, it's easy to see that there is a lack of those kinds of activities where you can bring the whole family out. You don't want to bring a bunch of kids out to a bar to see a show. Most people don't, at least. I mean, I've done it a couple times. Just I try to be progressive, and obviously I'm not letting my kid roam free, unattended around the bar with me at all times. But yeah, I think that's a big issue as well. And it's a good thing that a place like Arts Altoona exists, because they can kind of have those underage shows. But at the same time, I know there's a lot of ability and a lot of liability in doing that, because you have to make sure that the kids aren't bringing alcohol in, or doing smoking weed in the bathroom, whatever it may be. Um, that's where I'm hoping maybe the cultural center can come in. I don't know if they plan to serve alcohol there, but it would be nice to have maybe just some dry shows where there's no alcohol allowed. Um, I I drink alcohol. I wish I didn't. I'm trying to cut down as best I can, but I definitely understand how it can be a good social thing, just to kind of loosen up a little bit and get into the experience. I think a lot of us are just kind of in our heads these days, and maybe we need to drink a little bit to feel a little more human and get outside of our heads. Um, yeah, so where was I? Building a music scene. So the next thing I would like to talk about, and once again on that last topic, feel free to comment your opinion as to why, or as to what are the barriers that we face. Whether you're a person that likes to go to shows, or a person that puts on events. What do you see as being the struggles to creating an actual music community that's cohesive and that works together and is not trying to tear itself apart, or that is just made up of a bunch of disjointed things that aren't really connecting. All right, so next topic I would like to discuss is, how do we actually move toward building that cohesiveness? I thought recently, it might be good to just have a sort of a community forum. Get people together and talk about these things in person. Give everybody a chance to speak who has something to say. I thought about doing sort of a networking event. I don't have anything solid planned yet, but I would like to do something like that for the music and arts community here in Altoona and the surrounding areas. Basically just, get all the musicians and artists and anybody who cares about building something here, get everybody together, and just have, nice little dinner or whatever. Maybe some drinks, I don't know. Maybe we want to keep that out so that we can involve younger people. But yeah, just, kind of have a little community TED Talk or something. Maybe we can invite somebody who actually knows what they're talking about and has done, and has actually built scenes and had success. Maybe we can get some advice from, I don't know, somebody outside of this area, or even somebody in this area who feels that they have something worthwhile to contribute to our knowledge base. I think it would also be nice to have, some kind of community center, which, again, maybe the cultural center downtown can take up the reins on that one. Just having a place where people can go that's not a bar, where you can just maybe hang out and jam, and maybe have some recording studios there available for use. Kind of like you go to the library and they have those little study rooms. Maybe we could do like a studio time rental or whatever. Have all the equipment there and just give people easier access to doing recordings, whether it's just audio or whether they want to do podcasting or record a music video. There's a path to getting all that together, and I think that it's slowly shaping up, but I just hope there is an actual plan behind getting that done, because I mean, honestly, whoever makes that happen first is going to be in a good position. And if I could do it, I would. If I had money and all the time in the world, I would invest in something like that. But yeah, I'm just barely getting by myself, so I'm little bit tapped out on spending any more money for now. But yeah, so that would be something I think would be really important. A meeting place, a community center where people can go at any time. It's open, during the daytime hours, and people can just go hang out and talk about music, or maybe have some little events or entertainment interspersed through that. But yeah, I know that takes a lot of planning, a lot of time, and for most of the people who are in a position to do these things in some way, it's like, this is not their full-time job. They still have to work another job to be able to pay the bills. Because let's face it, it's hard to get people to even pay $5 to go to a bar to see a cover band sometimes. I've worked the door at shows before where people have complained about a $5 cover. I'm not rich, but I'll happily pay $5 to support local music, even if I don't even like the band, even if they're the worst band that I've ever heard. I'll pay $5 because you know what? These guys are practicing, or these girls, guys, whatever they may be, are practicing, and they took all the time to drive out here with a practice set. They unloaded all their equipment, and they're probably at the end of the day gonna make like $20 each, unless they're, maybe like the Pennsylvanians or a bigger band like that can get people out. It's a struggle for most independent artists. Yeah. So, once again, feel free to chime in the comments section regarding this topic of, what are some actionable steps that we could take to inspire enthusiasm, make people feel like there's actually a scene growing here, and just get people to believe and be willing to invest a little bit of time and money. It doesn't take thousands of dollars from each person. We don't need to set up a big GoFundMe or whatever, or a Kickstarter to get this moving. It just has to be consistent, small dollar help over time. Alright, there's one more topic I want to cover here. Let me check the time on this video, see where we're at. 33 minutes. Alright. Well, I know that this is going to be one big file here. It took me forever to upload the 13-minute video that I recorded last night. It was like 10 gigabytes. That's why I decided to record this one in a lower frame rate, so hopefully the file size won't be so insane. But anyway, last topic I would like to discuss for today, for this first episode of Save Point. Oh, and by the way, just quickly wanted to mention, if you're wondering why I chose the name Save Point, really has nothing to do with video games or anything, although our last festival we did incorporate gaming into it, so it was somewhat inspired by that. And obviously I am a pretty big game enthusiast, though I don't play as much as I used to. I used to, want to be a video game designer when I was a kid. That was my original dream before I really got heavily into music. But anyway, I decided to call the podcast Save Point because at this point we've had 5 years of Mass in the Grass, and now that we're taking a break, it feels like, we've reached a checkpoint. I wanted to get to 5 years. I didn't want to just do 4 years because, I have a little OCD and I prefer multiples of 5 rather than multiples of 2 or 4. So made it to year 5, even though I drained every last resource I had to get to year 5. We made it. Now we can save the game and resume when the time is right. But anyway, last topic here. So the thing is, I see a lot of people who have big dreams. People who people who are creating music or art for more of a purpose than it just being their hobby. They hope that one day they'll make it big. They hope that one day somebody will come see their immense talent and just, hoist them out of poverty or struggles and just, give them some big opportunity. There was a time when I hoped for the same. I thought, why can't I make it? I'm pretty good. I've been working on my craft. I put the time in. I got the equipment. I've recorded the albums. I do the social media posts. I have subscribers. Why shouldn't I be able to make it? What's stopping me? Is it just my own self-doubt? And I see a lot of people, as I said, who have this dream that they'll make it big one day, make a lot of money from music. And I don't want to discourage people from believing in a dream. I think it's important to have dreams. Because, if you don't have a dream, then you just kind of exist. And, maybe that's fine for some people. But for other people, they want to do something great. They maybe feel like they were meant to do something great. I've always had that feeling. And so far, I haven't really achieved my own sense of having accomplished that. I know I've worked hard and made a difference for some people, but I feel like I could do a lot more, and I'm just waiting for that day to come, whenever it may. But yeah, at the same time, I've kind of given up on the idea of becoming famous from music or really getting anywhere with it, mainly because of just what that takes now. The world is not the same as it was back in the heyday of the music industry, when people were still investing in and taking chances on new artists and new sounds. The modern music industry, like many other industries, is mostly all about money. Very little people in that industry that actually care about artistry or making a cultural impact or whatever. And even though all these tools exist, anybody can produce and record music for a relatively small amount of money. If you have a laptop or even a smartphone, you can do a lot with just that. There's people, downloading beats from YouTube or SoundCloud, recording a rap verse or whatever on their phone, and blowing up on TikTok or whatever, getting 1 million streams on Spotify. That's possible, but that is nowhere near the norm. And if you're waiting around for that to happen, I would just say don't be too disappointed if it doesn't, because the amount of people that actually happens to is so minuscule. It's basically like a whole pyramid, and that's the amount of people that attain that level is just the top, the top brick of the pyramid. That's it. All the rest of the bricks, and as you go toward the bottom, we're getting nothing. No money, no plays, no subscribers, and no hope. So yeah, it's good to have a dream, but at the same time, you want to try to be realistic about things so that you don't end up disappointed and discouraged. Um, the truth is, even if you spend 1,000 hours recording the greatest album of all time, and you release it on DistroKid or Bandcamp or YouTube or whatever, it's a grain of sand on a beach. There's new music being uploaded every second. New albums, new songs, brand new styles. And there's so many people who are so talented. It's insanely difficult to get anywhere. It's not easy to make money getting views on YouTube. It's not easy to make money getting streams on Spotify. Everybody who's in this industry making music should know the actual earnings that you get, for Spotify streams. I mean, I don't know the actual number off the top of my head, but I'm sure it's probably somewhere close to like a penny for 1,000 streams. If you get 1,000 plays on your track, you get 1 cent, or maybe $1 if you're lucky. And each of the platforms is different in what they offer in terms of payouts. Some are a little better than others, but yeah, the truth is, if you want to make a lot of money, you have to be hitting those insane number of plays and views. And if you want to make that money consistently, you have to be hitting those numbers consistently. You have to be constantly releasing music. You have to be constantly promoting. You have to be constantly going out and performing live, trying to get new followers, trying to get, just some enthusiasm around what you're doing and excitement. And if you're just releasing music and expecting that just because it's good that it's going to do well, you're most likely 99 times out of 100, or even worse odds than that, you're going to end up disappointed. I can tell you that. I've been disappointed time and time again when I put my heart and soul and efforts into recording something that I was so proud of, and you put it out there, you try to share it with people, nobody shares it, it seems like nobody cares, everybody's just in their own little world. Just prepare yourself to be disappointed if you are just hoping that the clouds are going to open up for you and the rays of heaven are just going to pull you up. It's insanely hard to make it as a musician, despite all of the technology, despite the fact that there's more opportunities than ever to get your music out there. You can get it heard, and there's cheap ways to do it too. I consider them to be sort of cheating, but maybe it's all part of the process. People pay to get on playlists or pay for their views. To me you do whatever you want to do with your project, but I will never do that, because I'm not just going to pay for people to care, I'm not willing to do that. I'll pay for other things, I'll pay for better equipment or maybe some marketing of my music so that it reaches a wider audience, but I'm not going to pay directly for bots or whatever to listen to my song or whatever I release. That just seems a little disingenuous to me, but either way, I'm not going to knock it. If you've done that, whatever, you do you. That's not me though. But yeah, so I think I don't want people to be disappointed, because disappointment and discouragement often leads to giving up. And I think it's important to try to, as I said, be realistic in terms of what you can achieve, and be honest with yourself as far as how much work are you really putting in. Even if you, as I said, put all this work into recording your album, that's only step one. All the rest of it is promoting it, getting people to review it, getting it on radio stations, getting it on playlists, and a whole number of other things, you know. And there is a way to do all those things, a non-cheap, non-cheating way. But you have to do them, or else you're just kind of depending on random chance and to, you know, hoping that you'll blow up. It's like, you know, if you're an artist, I would just ask yourself, how much do I really care about what everybody else is doing? How much am I really investing in looking at this random person's music that has very little followers, and, you know, why should I care? Why should I listen to them? You know, you got to think about these things. You have to step outside of yourself, step outside of your own ego, and realize that you are just one person in this world, and if you want to make it, you're going to have to stand out. And you're going to have to do everything possible to try to do that. It doesn't mean you create a fake persona and be someone you're not. Unless that's what you want to do. I mean, maybe that's what the pop stars do. But, you know, if you want to be real and genuine and still make it based on your own merit and your own, I don't know, cool, unique style of music or clothing that you wear or the way that you do your hair or whatever, like, you know, those are the things people are attracted to. They're attracted to the aesthetic. They're not always roped in by the music, you know. A lot of bands that I find, you know, I'll see a little Facebook reel ad and I'll just be like, huh, you know, those guys look kind of cool. I wonder what their music sounds like. It's not the music that attracted me to them. It was the look of what they were putting out. So, you know, and realize that, yeah, you know, there's a certain uniqueness and originality to putting out, you know, lo-fi, home-recorded stuff, but, like, you're competing against people who are putting thousands of dollars into their recordings and who have graphic designers working for them, professionals, you know, professional marketers. And if you hope to just get the same results with really just not investing the same level of money or time or whatever into your project, most of the time you're not going to get those results. So again, I would just say take a moment to actually step outside of your project, your music, yourself, and figure out what is actually important to you. Is it really important if 1 million people hear your song? Or do you just like to make music as a hobby, and you would be making it anyway, even if no one heard it? I know that's the case for me. I feel very lucky that I have managed to gain a bunch of subscribers. I have almost 6,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. But that is after doing YouTube videos for 14 years. I have 800 and something videos. It took 14 years to get 6,000 subscribers. You know, with the right method, you could probably get that many in a single day. And it's taken me 14 years because I didn't do all those things that were required, you know. I just uploaded the videos and left everything up to chance. That way I could know that the results that I got were just from my own merit. Not because I put a lot of money into marketing and did all these crazy things. Like, this is just what naturally, organically came about. And that's the way I prefer to keep it for my project, because honestly, I don't want to monetize and sell my soul. You know, this is my artwork, and I really don't care if I, at this point, especially if I make a bunch of money. I just want to do what I do, and, you know, hopefully through that help people and give back, and you know, give opportunities to other people. You know, it's kind of like, I feel like you know, maybe some high school kid who dreamed about being a football star who ends up being a gym teacher. That's what I've kind of resided to. Is I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be a football star or a famous musician in this case. If that ever happens to happen, I get some golden opportunity that comes, out of nowhere, or is just a result of the long dedication that I've had. Like, great. If I ever make a song that a lot of people connect with, great. I will be ecstatic. But I'm not going to bank on that happening. I'm not going to bank on, just suddenly making it overnight through random chance. So, anyway, I think that's about all I'm going to cover for today. I'm sure this video is probably about an hour long by now, so don't want it to get too crazy. But, as I said, I do want to hear from people. I'm interested to hear what other people think. This podcast isn't just for me to come up and just be like, yeah, this is what I think, and that's it. I want to inspire people to talk. Even if your opinion gets shot down and attacked, like, be brave enough to at least say what you think. It doesn't really matter if nobody agrees with you. Your input is valuable, because even if a lot of people don't agree with you, there's probably thousands, millions, billions of other people who think just like you do. So your opinion matters, and unless we take into account the opinions of even those that we don't agree with, we're not going to ever get anywhere in terms of building a music scene or really making this work. That's my personal opinion. But anyway, this has been the first episode of Save Point with your host, Sascha Frost. And I hope to see you for the next one, where hopefully we will have a guest on this time. I just wanted to get this first episode out of the way. Just me talking here. Keep it simple. I don't have to rely on scheduling people to come and get a space cleared out to fit another person in my tiny little recording studio bedroom here. So yeah, I gotta clean this place up. It's a freaking mess. So I think I'm gonna do that next today, and we will see you next time. Peace.